Hi, you are listening to Scribble Talk, a podcast for bid and proposal professionals. My name is Pastor Sundram, and with my co-host,
Ashley Case.
we will be sitting down with our industry veterans to share their stories, discuss their career, and learn how to make an impact in the industry.
Today's guest is Amy Singer. Amy is a passionate proposal professional with more than 20 years of direct proposal and bid management and leadership experience. She's often referred to as a force, as she is known for her persistence in getting things done. Amy began her proposal career under the guidance of Kelli MacMillan, formerly Stevenson, an APMP Fellow at Experian. She worked many years as a strategic proposal leader, winning the majority of the states in regional P25 related contracts following 9/11. Amy was then recruited by Hitachi Data Systems, now Hitachi Vantara, to develop and implement true industry standard and best management bid management capabilities for the global organization. She managed the global implementation of Qorus Breeze and later the upgrade to Qorus 365 before moving to T-Systems North America to support their strategic bid operations. Following TSNA's close in North America, Amy joined the HCI Group, a Tech Mahindra company, where she is currently the global bid director for the HCI Group and TechM's provider and payer health care business. Welcome, Amy, to Scribble Talk. Great to have you with us.
Hi, it's great to be here. I'm honored. Thank you.
So Amy, if you've listened to the podcast, you know we love to start in the beginning. So we're curious, where were you born? Where did you grow up? And where did you go to school?
So I was born in a very rural part of North Carolina in the U.S. I was born in the Dismal Swamp in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. I did grow up there in Northampton County, where there is one school for the entire county, one high school for the entire county, and it still is very small today. The town that I grew up in had just over 400 people when I was growing up, and the latest census shows that that hasn't changed.
Wow.
I didn't like small town rural living in the South, and at about 5 years old, loaded my personal favorite things in the basket of my bicycle and got on the sidewalk and started pedaling fast and hard, and told my mom, even though I loved her very much and my family loved them very much, told them that I was leaving, and in my little Southern voice at the time, I ain't never coming back. So it took quite a while for me to actually leave, but after high school, being things, as they were there, rural, poverty-stricken area of North Carolina, even the scholarships, the partial scholarships that I won in high school were not enough to, to fund my college. So I moved to the Triangle area of North Carolina and bartended until I met some people that were going to test for the military, take the ASVAB. And so I decided that I wanted to take it because I'd always done well in school, and they described that as an SAT type of test that takes, 4 hours to take. And I wanted to take it for fun. So I took it and set some kind of record because I only missed 3 questions on the ASVAB. So recruiters from every branch started hounding me at my place of work, would come to have drinks and try to talk me into joining. So I eventually joined the Marine Corps, and was in the Marine Corps for a little over 8 years. I loved it. I was able to finally leave North Carolina. I was in boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina, and then in my career occupational training in 29 Palms, California, I was stationed at Pendleton in California, and then with the first FSSG in first MAW in Okinawa, Japan for years, and then back at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, following the end of the first Gulf War and DOD's major cuts then. So I was released from the Marine Corps and honorably discharged after 8.5 years, and then moved to Illinois, where I currently live.
Oh, wow. So what did you do after, 8 years in the Marine Corps in Illinois? What was your first job from there?
It was a little difficult. We didn't have as many opportunities and as much awareness on transitioning from military to, to corporate America. Didn't have as much help as there is now. And I'm really glad that, military and corporate America have come together with that to be able to make that transition more possible. But because I had studied computer programming in college at night while being in the Marines,
Wow.
I actually went to school at National University in California, where although my schooling was paid for by the military, I also won a scholarship for carrying a 3.9 and working full time, and then attended University of Maryland in Okinawa. So I moved from computer programming and school to business administration, and my first job in Illinois was like a data processing kind of thing with Transamerica. I then moved to working for a regional vice president of sales for Marshall's department store chain, which included, several of the Kato's and whatever, Payless, all those stores. I'm not even sure which one for sure they own now. It's a long time ago, but worked there for a bit as a merchandise analyst. So I made sure that that the stock in certain stores in certain areas would sell well based on demographics and other purchasing trends, et cetera. So then I moved to being the director of membership for a realtor organization. So I was kind of bouncing all around, trying to figure out, again, that transition. Where would I fit into corporate America and, begin to start my civilian life? Bounced from the realtor organization, I was with each of these organizations a couple of years, and bounced from that to Anderson Windows, actually Morgan Distribution, which was then purchased by Anderson Windows, and worked there supporting sales operations. And that seemed to really click with me. I did just about anything you could do with sales operations, from organizing the annual sales conventions to running internal sales promotions to incentivize our sales leaders to perform better, and all kinds of statistics and data and reporting and everything. So, and I really enjoyed that. After Anderson Windows purchased Morgan, I was asked to move to Minnesota, and that didn't work for me and my children at the time. So I then I temporarily did some consulting for beverage consulting, writing some white papers and doing some consulting. And through that met the vice president of Harmony Financial Services from Den Haag. And he was from South Africa, but the company was based in Den Haag, and became a board member there, and the administration controller globally for them. They're in 17 countries. So I worked across Europe and in the US, trying to build the US operations. And then we had 9/11. The company closed after 9/11. So I was then just at home. So that's when my proposal world began. That's when I entered the proposal world. I was on a ball field, hanging out with my kids and watching them play. And another mom was beside me and she made a business call to a person named Michael Smith at Experian in the UK. She placed that call. When she finished that call, I said, "How is Michael doing?" And she said, "Oh, you wouldn't know him. He's in the UK with Experian." And I said, "Actually, I do, because I used to work for HFS and I met him there in the UK." And so that just changed our conversation from mom on the side of the ball field to business. And as we were talking, she asked me to join her for dinner, and I did. And she wrote a number on a cocktail napkin and said, "Come work for me." and asked me what I knew about RFPs. And I told her I had no idea what they were, never heard of them. In the building world, like Anderson Windows, everything's done on bids and quotes. So I wasn't familiar with sales operations and RFPs, that kind of thing. And she said, "It doesn't matter at all, because you were born to do this. I can tell talking with you in your mind, you were born to do this." And I completely agree with her. I was born to do this. She took me under her arm. She's an APMP Fellow. Her name's Kelli Stevenson, as you mentioned, Kelli MacMillan now. She's the most incredible bid knowledge person that I've ever met. And she taught me all about Shipley, the Shipley process, and how to do bids. And I fell in love with it. And my career began then. So in 2001 with Experian, working with Kelli Stevenson.
Wow. So what an exciting career timeline there, and just different roles and interesting experiences to get you to where you are now. Any memorable proposal efforts between 2001 and now?
Oh, I'll give you a memorable experience first that speaks to quality. While at Experian, we would self-audit, our team would self-audit our proposals every 6 months or so. So in this, we do an excellence kind of training week or 3 days or something, team building and training. And in that, we'd spend a day auditing. And so we'd be given someone's proposals to read through and to audit. And an error that was found in one of my proposals was in a call out where I had said that our solution would help them do, and on the beginning of the next line, do something. So I'd actually told the customer that our solution would help them do.
Oh.
And if you grew up in the South in rural North Carolina, do is another word for going potty. Mm-hmm. And we found that in one of my proposals that had been submitted. Gosh. I don't think I'll ever get that. So proofreading is definitely very important. And before you send it to the customer, maybe not in an audit 6 months later.
Absolutely.
My attention, definitely. I'm very much a driven perfectionist. So because of that, I'm very, very, very careful. I'm really, really hard on proofreading and editing before things go out. So another really interesting proposal time or proposal period was when I was with Motorola, working with the P25 upgrades. So that was a result of 9/11 and all of the public safety organizations, state and regional, being mandated by Homeland Security to be interoperable. So have all of their communication devices interoperable. So Motorola had a big play in that. And my job there was to be on site, because I needed to be in the location that the bids were being submitted. So, and as the first, main leader in this effort, I worked for the first 3 years there in every state but Illinois. So wow. I traveled constantly. So my travels would take me across the entire US in maybe 1 week, I might be in 4 states. So
Oh, gosh.
that was just extremely memorable in that there wasn't a moment to breathe, but it was also very successful. So by the time that I changed positions at Motorola from that, I we had signed 43 of the state contracts. So, and had some still in negotiation. So, so the work paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. What a success story there. So let's talk a little bit about APMP. You noted that, you got into kind of the proposal world through, an APMP Fellow. Is that when you found out about APMP, or was it later on in your career?
No, I was joined APMP, I think, as part of my onboarding process at Experian. Kelli was extremely dedicated to APMP, is still, and all of us were expected to be members. So we all joined. We also took part in working the conventions. So right away, 6 months in, I was on task force and working in the conventions. So I was completely involved in APMP from the start. As a matter of fact, the first convention, it may have been the second, is when we determined that there would be an accreditation program.
Wow.
So I was part of helping develop that. I was on the task force helping to develop the framework for that, for the accreditation program, certification program.
Yeah, that's super exciting. So it sounds like you've been to very many BidCons and absolutely helped with putting those on. Any fond memories from any of those experiences?
I think meeting the other leaders, the true leaders, the owners of Shipley, and the passionate proposal guys and and others. I just, just getting to develop really long-term networking relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely my favorite part of, the conferences, is that networking and meeting, so many amazing people. You mentioned being part of the task force that came up with the accreditation and now certification program. Have you pursued any of those certifications yourself?
So I have, and this is the very sad thing, is that just like a mechanic, the mechanic's wife's car is always the one that's broken down because the mechanic's always busy fixing everyone else's. It's the same with me. I've encouraged people that work for me and work with me to go through the certifications, the accreditation programs, and it took years before I ever completed my CF, got my CF, which I achieved in 2008. And I did that through Shipley at the Chicago Midwest Convention for APMP Midwest Convention. And I started, while I was at T Systems, I started with Bhaskar actually to move to the next level, but there's some record keeping and we can't find my original certification. So we're still working on that. And then I'll resume my process, Bhaskar, with you to obtain the next level accreditation.
Thank you.
But I do have to say that while I was at T Systems, so this is a great success story and one that I absolutely love. While I was at T Systems, another person had joined the team right when I did. He was a project manager, originally from South Africa, living in Chicago, and he had been moved from project management to bid management with kind of no warning, no notice, and no vote in the process, and came into bid management watching the internal process and how that was done. And then I came on board, and again, as a force, and said, oh, this absolutely is not industry standards. This is why we don't have the success that we need. We need to do things this way. These steps are missing. We need to, have a better template. We need to improve these things. We need to do this. We need to do this. And and with no one really keeping an eye on me, I just started implementing better things and didn't have anyone stop me. So I kept implementing better things and grabbed Isak by the arm and brought him along with me and said, this is how things are really done. And we, I worked with him and taught him the industry standards. I actually had an extra whole set of the Shipley books and gave them to him. And I watched him develop this passion as I had when Kelli worked with me. And it was the most inspiring thing I think that's ever happened in my career, is to watch him bloom and grow as a bid manager, because as he saw the quality results of each step being put into action, he fell in love with it. He fell in love with the process. He fell in love with the results that came from having a standardized process with best practices. And absolutely became one of the best bid managers in it just fit him, it fit his mindset, it fit everything about him. And as we were knowing that the business, was about to close, really getting hit with hard times with COVID and everything, I got us approval to work with Bhaskar for him to be accredited, for him to obtain his CF certification and accreditation, and for me to get my next. And he went through his, so Bhaskar, I'm sure you remember that. He completed his right away and was certified before the business closed at the end of that year. So he is now working for GE in their healthcare bid unit and loves it. And he tells me, we are still very close friends, and he tells me whenever we speak, it is amazing when you first came to T Systems and said, oh my goodness, it's not done this way. It needs to be done this way. And you would talk about work-life balance, and you would talk about success rates, and you would talk about quality of the final deliverable. I thought you were from Mars. None of it seemed truly achievable. And then as you introduced me to the Shipley process and APMP and to Bhaskar, and as I went through studying for certification and becoming certified, I had and landing a true bid management position, in a company that is, that has all APMP accredited bid managers and working with a true set of professionals. I see this as being so true. I see the quality. I see how the process works. I see the results on a daily basis. And so I love that. I just love that. He's still so inspiring for me.
Oh, wow. What an amazing success story there. And just, the passion in your voice and the passion that you were able to instill in someone else, and how good that, must make you feel as a leader.
It does. I do love it.
All right. So before we pivot into our surprise rapid fire questions round, or what we call the Nutters round after Howard Nutt, can you tell us 3 things not many people know about you?
Huh. Well, these things are going to become known because each time I speak, this question is asked, and I use the same 3. So eventually I'll have to think of something new. 3 things. I was on the Love Connection in the late 1980s. I was on the Love Connection. I have driven a Humvee off of a ship underwater onto the Pacific shore.
Wow.
And let's see what else. I was in the Miss North Carolina pageant. And
wow. Oh my gosh, so many things for Bhaskar to dig into in a little bit more detail before the random questions.
That's brilliant. Actually, you are so excited. Would you like to ask Amy whatever you want to ask Amy before you hand over to me?
Oh no, I'm going to let you run with it because you're so good at digging into those hobbies.
Oh my God. So, North Carolina pageant, any fashion or beauty tips, Amy?
Absolutely none.
No.
I was kind of pushed into that because of my academic success and not my beauty. So, and I was a little bit turned off from the whole "I'm only a girly girl" attitude of the, mid 80s. So, because I felt that girls had a lot more power. I felt that girls could do anything. Anything boys could do, and we were unique because we could also do anything girls could do. So I wasn't quite the beauty pageant, I didn't really have the mentality to be a beauty queen. However, the academics, they're very, when they start these pageants and they get people involved, they do focus highly on academic success. And so I was brought into it for that. But I really enjoyed meeting the girls and going through the whole process. We got to do a lot of cool things, as we work towards the pageant. And it was a really neat, unique experience.
Got it. And what are your current hobbies and interests, Amy? What do you do in your spare time?
Sleep. I'm joking. So my current team is all based in, the people that report to me are all based in India. So my work hours are pretty much any time throughout the 24-hour period. So that's why I said that. But I actually learned I was professionally trained in calligraphy when I lived in Japan. And I really enjoy that as a kind of a decompression kind of exercise. It's something that's relaxing and fun to me. So I do make gifts and, crafts and things, stationery and picture frames and written, poems or written things to be framed for walls and things in calligraphy. And that's something that I enjoy doing. And I have 3 grandchildren. So I like playing with them. I have a 5-year-old grandson named Knox, 2-year-old grandson named Ryder, and a brand new granddaughter who will be 6 weeks old Friday, whose name is Nora. And I love playing with them. I'm also a huge outdoorist person. So I love the beach. I love anything that's outdoor related. So gardening, canoeing, camping, hiking, just being outside is huge for me.
That's beautiful. I think it's amazing how you balance yourself with your own time. I know now with this 2.5 years of COVID life, life seems to be never stops, Amy. It's not just you, me too. I'd love to sleep, but life moves on. Yeah. But yeah, looks like you have people around you and you have few hobbies around you. Try to squeeze in here and there. But yeah, let's move in. Officially, we are entering what we call the Nutters round. So no right or wrong answer. Whatever comes in your mind, let's just go through that. So, Amy, what was your favorite toy when you were a child?
My imaginary doll, because my sister couldn't take that from me.
Yeah. So, how many in your family, Amy?
I had a brother who has passed away some years ago, and I have 2 sisters, Bobby, a girl named Bobby, and who's older than me, and a younger sister named Wendy.
Bobby and Wendy. So if I ask Bobby and Wendy to give you a reference, what do you think they will tell about you?
I think that they would tell you that I work some job they don't understand, and that I'm an excellent mother, as they spent some time with my oldest son and I in North Carolina. They were very impressed with how my children turned out.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's all. End of the day, work is work, but when you go to the next generation and you get respect for what you have done for the family, I think that's what matters. But kudos to you, Emmy. So there's a lot to learn there. Emmy,
I think that raising our children is a very significant contribution to the future. How we raise our children. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. That's it, totally. So what movie or book character are you most similar to?
I'm going to have to take a hard pass on that. I'm not sure.
It's okay. So if you could become invisible for a day, what would you do?
That would be so fun. I'd never thought of that. I think that I would try to go as many places as I could and just be the fly on the wall to watch other strong leaders in various industries, how they perform, and to see how they spend their time so that I can learn.
Wow, that's good. So if you could visit any place in the world right now, where would you choose to go and why?
I think until this past year, I would have given you the name of some beach that I'd either been to or still is on my bucket list. But currently, I think I would go to India because I have really enjoyed being, a part of the HCI Group and Tech Mahindra. I've worked with teams from India, especially very closely with TSNA, T-Systems in North America. Many of my team members were in India also, which gave me such a fondness for just the culture. But working so closely and having direct reports now here, I would love to go there and actually just be able to sit with my team and spend time with them.
Totally, Amy. Shiv Nadar, the founder of HCL, we are from the same place in Tamil Nadu, where I'm from.
Yes, they are. So my team is spread all over. They're in Bangalore, they're in Chennai. I would really like to go to Chennai. They're all over. I've worked with people from Pune, so just all over the country. So I'd like to really go across the country, and see all of my friends there. But I think I'd start at Chennai because there is a beach there.
Totally. That's the capital of my state back in India. Yeah, why not? Definitely. So that's good. You are chosen to make a dinner for a very special guest. Who will you invite and what will you cook?
I would invite, I think I'd invite my family. And the reason is I do work so many hours that when I do have some downtime, I try to make it as quality as possible with the people that that have supported and sacrificed as I built my career. And so I do try to have as much quality time with them as possible. So I would invite my family, and I would most likely cook do ribs, barbecue ribs on the grill, because most of my family loves my barbecue ribs. But I also have a son that's vegan who will eat some fish. So I'd also grill salmon. I would roast corn on the grill, and I would make my bean salsa with chips, and definitely have some nice refreshing cocktails.
Wow. Sounds like a plan. You have thought it through really well. I was just wondering when you were talking about North Carolina, if all went well in 2001, if it wasn't 9/11 and there was a big embargo on people coming in, I would have joined the University of North Carolina as a research associate.
Wow.
So
my aunt graduated from UNC at Chapel Hill.
Yeah, that's it. That's where I got the funding from. But I passed out in 2001 too. By the time there were severe restrictions in travel, so I have to move, and that's how I ended up in UK.
Well, yeah, the borders are still, you can still come over.
Definitely, Amy. Definitely. So, Amy, what do you get every time you go for grocery shopping?
Paper towels.
Paper towels. It's a very unique response.
Paper towels, fat-free, half and half.
Got it. I think that's a very, very, very useful thing. So, what's that one food you could never bring yourself to eat?
Anchovies.
Have you ever eaten once or twice, or you've never tried it?
I've tried them. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of mackerel and sushi either. Although I love all other sushi.
Got it. Yeah, I think, when it comes to raw fish kind of a sushi, you just need to be fine-tuned to it a little bit. But that's good. So, what's your favorite movie, or do you have any movies that you watch?
I do, and I like a lot of movies. I do like the drama, action kind of movies. Denzel Washington is one of my favorite actors. I love just about anything that he's in. So Man on Fire was a good movie, although tragic and sad. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of a movie Angelina Jolie was in, where she was a CIA agent born in Russia. And I can't think of the name of it, but.
Yeah, we will leave it to the listeners to put a note in the comments box.
Right.
Let's just do that. And what's in your Spotify or your Apple iTunes music list now? Do you have any favorite pop group, or do you listen to any type of songs? What's in your music list now?
I love music. I believe music is like food, where you can't focus on just one thing all the time. So I love a wide array of music. I listen to everything pretty much except EDM. But my favorite artist is my son, Gavin, who goes by the name of G.O. and who signed with Bentley Records last year.
Oh, nice. Look at you, Amy. Yeah. So let's add those links as well to the podcast.
I will. I'll send you that. Thank you.
Let's just do that. That's great. Amy, who are the people who have been the most influential in your life and career?
In my professional life, the most influential have been Vic Springer, who's with the Anderson Windows, Kelly Stevenson. While at Experian, she's not there. She's moved on in her career, but Kelli MacMillan, definitely. And also Will Conaway and Ed Marks, who are both with the HCI Group. These two men are the most phenomenal leaders I've ever worked with. So I'm super happy to be able to be mentored and coached by them.
And family?
Family, most influential in my family. My mother, absolutely. She grew up and stayed in a very tiny, rural, poverty-stricken area of North Carolina known as the Dismal Swamp. However, she took every opportunity to expand her mind with cultures, global cultures, and places, and any type of knowledge she could devour. She did. She kept her mind growing throughout her life, and I really respect that.
Got it. And Kelly is a very good friend. I've met Kelly a few times. So I'm still in touch with Kelly, and I'm glad that.
Oh, you know her. That's great.
Yeah, I know Kelly. Howard introduced me to Kelly because Kelly used to be part of the Beatty Institute board.
Right.
And then I became friends with Kelly, and then that's it. We are still in touch. Somehow Kelly doesn't want to come to the podcast. And I'm sure if Kelly listens to this podcast, Amy, you should nudge her to join in. And I'll also do the same.
Kelly, Kelly, a big shout out to you. Definitely for helping introduce me to this career. You told me that I was born to do this, and I was, and I strive every day to prove that to you. And I definitely think you should join as a guest to Baspar's podcast.
Thank you.
Come on out.
Thank you. Tell me, what's one personal trait you like the most about yourself?
I am proud of myself. It's hard for someone raised in the South because we're taught to be humble above all else. But I am very proud of myself for a non-judgmental, just not being judgmental and really thinking things through and trying to look at every situation from all facets before making a decision. I'm also I'm very glad that I've had an opportunity to travel to various geographical areas of the world and live and work in different areas because they've widened my experience and helped keep my perspective very large. And I love diversity. My friend group is highly diverse, and my work colleagues are as well. And eventually I'll become my friends also because of that attitude, that I just love learning from people whose experiences and lives are different than mine, because it opens my eyes wider and helps me grow.
Wow, that's beautiful, Amy. Thank you. Have anybody asked you, you have a surname that ends singer, can you sing a song?
I won't, but yes. But yes, that was my talent in the Miss North Carolina pageant. And for a number of years, I was the lead singer in the praise group at our church.
Right. And now you have your son who is a singer with a surname Singer.
I do.
That's good. That's good, Amy. So, Amy, I know we had this question all along, and we wish we could remove this question, but it still stays with us. What have you observed lately in these COVID times that reminded you that people are kind?
In COVID, as well as in, personal traumatic times, as you are aware, my mother just passed away, and in COVID as well. I actually had COVID earlier this year, and in both times, I have been very blessed, and very appreciative of the people that I work with, because they truly work with a team spirit, and I think that's so true in our industry. Maybe more so in any other industry, because we know that it truly takes a team to get what we have to do done and to do it well. And my team members rallied, even though we were short-handed, with several people being out with COVID, several people having other things going on in their lives also with conflicts, because my team stepped up and filled in the gaps during two, kind of extended leaves, one for COVID and then one when my mother passed recently. So I think that that's extremely kind and extremely just impressive that in our industry, team members understand what it takes to make the team survive.
100%, Amy. So who is the kindest person you know?
I know a lot of kind people, so that question is difficult to answer, but I'm going to give a shout out to my next door neighbor, Liz, who is just turned 85 and is a dear friend. I think that her soul is so beautiful. She stays really current and kind of up with the neighborhood. She takes walks and visits everyone. She makes, treats for people and knocks on their door and gives them to them. She stays abreast in what's going on with people's lives by having still that, neighborly attitude that I think we lose a lot, not only during COVID, but just in the busyness of our lives. And she makes our neighborhood much more neighborly through her efforts. And what a great thing that is, this beautiful, beautiful, sweet elderly lady that has just taken it upon herself to keep our neighborhood connected.
Totally. Kudos to Liz. And this is a very unique response from you. Normally we hear their partner's name or children's name or parents' name. But in this case, you picked up your neighbor. So this will be remembered for various reasons now, which is good. So, Amy, you have been in the industry for 20 plus years. You have seen, as you know, the positives, the negatives, met a lot of people, mentored by Kelli, who herself has been in the industry for 35 plus years or so. What's that one common myth about our profession that you want to debunk?
Oh, that we're here to make things pretty. That is a major pet peeve of mine when people look at our group, our teams, as being someone that will just make sure things get collected and then make them look pretty enough to get to the customer, because we provide extreme value to the entire business development process. And as we do develop our careers and become more mature professionals, and through certifications and accreditation programs, and proving what we know, we have so many ways to assist sales and wins, and build strategy, help facilitate win strategy development, and truly help increase the quality of not only the end deliverables, but the quality of all of our clients and potential clients' perspective of the company. And another thing that I don't think we receive enough credit for is the fact that when our organization is mature, as we are able to gain higher levels of CMMI, we actually improve the efficiency for the entire organization. Because if we are not working well, then we continuously reach out and interrupt everyone else in the business, every other group. We interrupt legal constantly. We interrupt finance. We interrupt all of the competencies of the different disciplines throughout the company for repetitive, the same answer, the same amount of questions, or support the same amount of things. But when we are a mature organization and we work well, and we have our processes standardized, and we are managing them correctly, then we don't interrupt the other internal organizations as much. And our efficiency breeds greater efficiency throughout the entire organization. So the more we are able to prove that value within an organization, the better we are.
Nice. That's very powerful, Amy. I think we normally have a follow-up question. What advice would you give bid and proposal professionals? You kind of started to answer that already. Any specific points on this question before we wrap up the episode?
I think one of the things that comes to mind immediately is getting your arms around a new opportunity early and immediately, and setting the stage for the team so that there isn't an inconsistency or or a trend that people go off in their own directions, and then you have to rebuild and regather things later in the process. So if you have your schedule, if you can get your arms around all the requirements and everything that needs to be done, and kick off the opportunity with a true leadership in a true leadership position and manner, then you'll be a lot more successful because things won't go haywire, and you won't be, bringing the train back on track constantly. The train won't derail if you can get control in the beginning and then maintain control. Stick to schedules, make sure that people meet internal deadlines, etc.
Totally, Amy. As we come to the end of the episode, Amy, is there any part of your life or career that we haven't covered, or is there anything else you would like to say before we close the episode?
No, just thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Amy. I think it's been an absolute brilliant to have you, Amy, especially with the past 1 month. I know you recently lost your mother. Condolences to you and your family. Stay strong. We have all of you. So wish you, your family, all the good health and happiness, and also your colleagues. Continue to inspire us and everybody around you. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe, keep smiling. Thank you, Amy. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. Cheers.
To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Please visit batchyscribble.com/podcast to listen to this episode and check out any of our other previously recorded episodes. If you've enjoyed today's interview, don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the Scribble Talk podcast. We hope you'll check out our next episode where we interview another industry expert and special guest. Until then, it's Ashley Kays,
Pastor Sundram,
signing off.